Hello, English learners. Welcome to another episode of 6-Minute English. Today, we are going to learn about the correct use of much, many, and a lot of. We won't explain boring rules or complex structures here. With a friendly chat and practical examples, you will learn everything you need in just 6 minutes. So join us. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Michelle. I'm actually really excited about today's topic because even people who have studied for years get this mixed up.
It's true, Chris. These words seem simple, but they can be quite tricky when you're in the middle of a real conversation.
Exactly. And before we start, I have a little challenge for everyone listening right now.
Oh, I love a good challenge. What is it?
Well, imagine you're in a coffee shop and your friend puts sugar in your drink. Is there a difference between saying you put too much sugar and you put too many sugars?
That's a great question, Chris. I'm curious to see what our listeners think about that.
Me too. Please go to the comments right now and tell us what you think the difference is.
Don't worry if you aren't sure yet. Stay with us until the end of the episode to find out the answer.
All right, Michelle. Let's start with the real lifesaver of the English language. I'm talking about a lot of.
I call that the safety zone. If you are ever in doubt, just use a lot of.
It's perfect because it works for almost everything. Whether you're talking about people, time, or coffee, it always sounds natural.
You're right, Chris. For example, some people might say, I have much work today, but that sounds a bit robotic, doesn't it?
It really does. It sounds like you're reading a legal contract or a very old book.
Right? A native speaker would almost always say, I have a lot of work today, instead.
It makes you sound relaxed and more like a native speaker. It doesn't matter if the noun is countable or not.
That's the beauty of it. If you're at a party, you can say there are a lot of people or a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm. It's the perfect exit strategy if you start panicking in the middle of a sentence.
Definitely, Chris. But we should probably talk about when we actually need to use many.
Good point. We use many when we can point at things as individual units.
Like when you can physically count them, 1, 2, 3.
Exactly, Michelle. Think about things like bottles, keys, or even people in a room.
Oh, like when you are waiting for the bus, you could say, there aren't many buses at this hour.
Yes, if you said there isn't much buses, it would sound like the bus is a giant liquid or a mass of clay.
That's a funny mental image, Chris. A giant bus liquid flowing down the street.
It sounds crazy, right? By using many, you make it clear you're talking about separate vehicles.
So many is for things we can see as separate pieces. What about much, Chris?
Much is the opposite. We use it for the volume or the total mass of something that we can't easily separate.
You mean things like time, space, or noise? Things that feel like a big mountain of something.
Precisely. Imagine you're running late for a very important meeting with your boss.
I would probably be very stressed. What would I say to my friend who is driving slowly?
You would scream, "We don't have much time," because time is a big concept here.
If I said, we don't have many time, would people understand me?
They might, but it would sound like you're trying to count individual seconds with your fingers. It's very strange.
That makes sense, Chris. Much is more about the total amount or the feeling of the quantity.
Well, we also use much and many more often in questions and negative sentences.
That's a very important tip. In positive sentences, we usually go back to our favorite phrase, a lot of.
Right. You wouldn't say, I have many friends, as often as you would say, I have a lot of friends.
It's not wrong, but a lot of just feels more friendly and natural in a casual chat.
Now, Michelle, do you think we should solve the sugar mystery from the beginning of the episode?
I think our listeners are waiting for that. Let's explain the difference between scenario A and scenario B.
All right. Scenario A was, you put too much sugar in my coffee.
In that case, you're talking about the white powder, the mass of sugar, right?
Yes, you are complaining about the sweet taste in general. It's a mountain of sugar inside the cup.
And what about scenario B, you put too many sugars in my coffee?
That's very specific. You're actually talking about the little packets or the sugar cubes.
So you're literally counting how many packets your friend threw into the drink.
Exactly. You could say, you put 3 sugars in my coffee, referring to the cubes.
That is a very subtle difference, but it really changes how the other person hears you.
It really does. If you use many, you're focusing on the pieces. If you use much, you focus on the substance.
This has been so helpful, Chris. I feel like I have a lot of new ways to talk about quantities now.
I see what you did there, Michelle. You used a lot of perfectly.
Well, I practiced. Before we go, do you have any final advice for our English learners?
Just remember the safety zone. If you panic and you don't know which one to pick, just say a lot of.
That's the best way to keep the conversation flowing without stopping to think about grammar.
Save much and many for when you want to be very specific or when you're asking a question.
Great advice. Now you know how to use much, many, and a lot of correctly, and you did it in only 6 minutes.
If you want to keep improving your English, we have a great link for you to learn about the differences between will and going to.
Thanks for joining us today. We can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.